And then let's see if we can live stream on YouTube.
Nor when we're live streaming, you might not want to be bobbing around like that on your camera. It's gonna, whenever you
No,
watch a
I'm
show,
just
like,
holding it. No, I'm
yeah,
sorry. No,
I know you're
I'll
just holding it, but that's not the point. The point is that sometimes when you're on like broadcasts and stuff where like thousands of people are going to see it, you don't want people
oh, I
bobbing
know.
back
I'll
and
just
forth and
turn off
making
my
everyone seasick. Yeah, if you
no.
start bobbing, do it. If when you're sitting normal like that, you're fine. That's great.
I have very neurological disorder.
I,
That's what it is. I'm
I
sorry.
know, Nora, I know you. I'm already aware. Just saying this for the camera
Thanks,
broadcast.
buddy. I'll just take off the camera.
Okay,
Thanks, Brian. So
the
let me see.
broadcasting thing.
Where is the Zoom? Okay, so welcome everyone to the Cosmic Starseed Academy. My date has disappeared from my screen. Normally I'm able to see it and read it out. But today's date is the 5th of July, 2025, and it is 7:25 p.m. here in Ireland. So welcome everyone to these weekly gatherings and Pleiadian channelings under the umbrella of the Cosmic Starseed Academy. I am Soma Ara, and this evening joining us we have Brian Seng, the Solar Bee, who is doing the Full Disclosure Now conference in July in Florida from the 15th to the 18th of July. There is a discount code on my website. There's a link there where you get 17% off if you'd like to come and join us. There are some amazing international speakers, two which I hold in very high esteem, one being Laura Eisenhower and the other Brad Olson. And I'm going to be doing a very short talk there and also a live Pleiadian channeling. And that's going to be very interesting. If I have time, I might also do a Q&A at the end. So we'll see, but do come and join us. It is a beautiful venue. I think it's Sarasota. Brian, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, well, actually, it's north of Sarasota by a bit, Florida, which is about 45 minutes north drive, I'm told. Don't quote me on that, where I believe there's actually a Stargate down there in Sarasota, Florida. Yeah, but it is also the west coast, the Gulf Coast of Florida, just west outside of Tampa, Florida, at St. Pete Beach at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort. And you can go to fulldisclosure.live or www.fulldisclosure.live to get tickets and find out more information and our huge, amazing lineup. I know that Soma, not only will you be doing a live channeling, at least one with the Palladians on stage during your own presentation, you'll also be featured on the ancient alien artifacts and direct ET contact panel. And Christopher Jacobs and Joanna Michaels of the lifting.net, via Christopher, they may also be doing, or they've announced that they'll be doing a live channeling of the forest people, aka Sasquatch. But
Wow.
they like to colloquially be referred to as the forest people.
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they like to be called the forest people.
I mean, it's just one thing they like to be called, instead of like Bigfoot. I think it's more,
Yeah.
they don't call themselves Bigfoot. They call themselves, people of the forest. Um, and some of the Bigfoot, being their Star Nations people are way, way older than the Bigfoot who are born here on Earth. And there are many, or Sasquatch from off planet. They're known as the Anakim. This is according to Christopher Jacobs' sources. And they don't normally come to ET UFO conferences or disclosure because, as they've said via Christopher, um, when it's on mostly ETs and that kind of contact and not really about the forest people themselves or, they don't generally, feel welcome at the table. They'll obviously go to conferences that are more geared towards the forest people, but they're making it specifically a point, but not only this year, but also they came last year because they do feel so included at the table because we recognize their role in the full disclosure movement.
That's good. That's really good. I it's funny how we get to wake up again and again and again and dive into Pandora's box and discover these things that I remember years ago hearing someone that I was having astral travel experiences with when I was living on Holy Island. There was another section at the north end of the island, and we never really connected because they were always in retreat. There was a group of nuns down there in a closed retreat, so we never really interacted with them. But there was one woman that I did connect in with on the astral plane, and I met her the next day, and it was a joint experience where we both remembered each other, and we gave each other a huge hug. And there was another girl there that looked at us and said, "Oh, have you two met?" And I didn't know what to say, and the other girl saw my reaction that I didn't know what to say, because of course we had met, just not physically. We'd met on the astral, and both of us were aware of this. And she piped up very quickly, no, because she didn't want to have to explain, oh yes, we did meet, but blah blah blah. Anyway, so I knew that she was very awake and aware and able to consciously astral plane because we'd met up on the astral plane. And I remember her having a belief of the royal family being reptilian. And I remember I was in the library one day. We had a beautiful library with a lot of books, good books, on a lot of different subjects, all esoteric. And I remember thinking, when I heard that about her, that was her belief, that the royal family was reptilians. And this is back in 2002, 2003 or 4. And I remember thinking, that's crazy. But I was kind of on the fence about it as well. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it's interesting how we've kind of developed and grown and now understand, of course, that the royal family is reptilian. Of course, the Rothschilds and the elites and all of the echelon of that peoples. But it's also interesting that I now understand much more about different, through channeling, about different aspects like Sasquatch that are very real, and like, of course, aliens and Pleiadians and Ashtar himself, but also things like dragons and Jesus. It's funny how, things really, the Pandora's box is huge, and so many of these subjects are classified as being BS, like, for example, Sasquatch. But actually, they are, my understanding of Sasquatch is that they're exist on a higher dimension, and that they
Yeah,
come in,
yeah.
they kind of step in and out of the 3D reality, and that
Because
they are,
because their consciousness is higher, so they're able to
yes,
vibrate at a higher consciousness density, and then they can phase in and out. And one of the places they go, for example, is called Telos, or sorry, Lanalos.
oh,
And apparently that may also be where Indrid Cold is from. And they always try to describe it to me as the world tree Yggdrasil, as described in more Norwegian Viking type mythology, where it describes Midgard, the middle realm, and then the higher Asgardian and lower, like the Heim, the hell realms. And it's kind of like a nesting of blankets on top of each other that can kind of, if you're uh on one blanket, you can kind of shift into the next blanket, closest blanket, if you have that ability, and they do.
okay, yeah. So I guess I'm going to start the channeling.
Should we do a prayer? I'll ring a bell and maybe.
Yeah, if you could ring a bell.
Can't see the bell because it's an invisible bell, but it's here. There you go.
Beautiful.
And then, per the law of one, we're here in the name of for the highest, greatest good of all, to call forth only beings of at least equal, if not, but preferably much higher vibration than we all here are today, with no conflicting agendas. As one is harmed, all are harmed. As one is helped, all are helped. And because we're all part of the law of one, we call on the highest, greatest good, and we ourselves will conduct ourselves in that manner for today's session. So be it, as above, so below, as within, so without. Thank you and blessings to all.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, let us start with a very short meditation. Breathe in through your nose, down to your belly, and hold it, and then breathe out through your mouth. And you can do that silently or with force and noise if you wish. And do that 2 or 3 or 4 times. Oh. We are delighted to be here this evening. We look forward greatly look forward to connecting with you in Florida and being in that space with Soma and having which will give us more of an ability to connect with those that are there in person at that time. We are rejoicing at your consciousness upgrades over and over and over again. There have been so many, too many to name, since 2019 and 2020, where things were consciousness began to expand rapidly, and as it did so, it built momentum and began to expand and expand and expand and expand. Even starseeds have come so far since 2019. You are more united. Not than ever before, but you are more united than you have been for quite some time. There are many tunnels that we know. You are wanting to know more information. There are not just tunnels, but caverns, caves, crevices, spaces, huge areas beneath your earth that were built at different times for different reasons. One of the reasons that some of these, there are even huge cities beneath the lands. One of the reasons we often speak of these areas being built were during some of the galactic wars, where many people around the earth were, due to the spiritual war with very physical UFO craft and technology used in a negative way during some of these wars between and battles between the positive and negative ET races or nations or the peoples. Some of these tunnels were built originally for safety, so that the people wouldn't become extinct or wiped out. Whole cultures, whole groups, whole clans of people hid beneath the earth, not just in one particular place, but many places beneath your earth. This is when, during a time when the consciousness was higher on your planet, not more advanced technologically, but it was more advanced consciously. Therefore, many of these people were able to see the wars above them in the sky because their consciousness was more expanded. You have been dumbed down not just once. Originally, when your DNA was changed at the downfall of Atlantis, but you have been dumbed down many times. The chemicals in the air, the soil, the earth, the water do not help you to maintain your consciousness awareness. In fact, these things are targeted at humanity to dumb you down, to keep you under control, to keep you asleep. Fluoride is not good for humanity. Cooking oils are not originally food source. So these tunnels, there are different varieties. It's the wrong word, but it's the closest we can find. There are different kinds of tunnels, caves, caverns, crevices, areas, some very recently made. Some have been repurposed and reused and refurbished, should we say, like that. But originally, the main reason for these was to house for safety, to house large groups of clans and sacred people, to keep them safe from harm's way. Also, there have been times on your planet when natural disasters, these were also a place of safety from natural disasters. The more modern uses of these tunnels are to traffic children and adults, which is a very dark, evil thing to do. It is inhumane. And the people at the highest level operating these trafficking of children or adults, including men, it is not just women and children, it is men as well. The people that are organizing these atrocities are reptilian. They're not human. Sedona is an area that has underground discoveries to be made. Ayers Rock, Uluru, all of the sacred places on your planet have underground systems, tunnels, areas, including the churches, which were built upon a previous structure, but most definitely all of the churches are on sacred sites, sacred areas, and do have tunnel systems beneath them, including castles, which were also a similar thing, meaning that all of the castles are also on sacred or energetically special land, and also contain tunnel systems beneath them. Often these tunnel systems lead out to the nearest water, and sometimes they will go stretch further and come out to the nearest point at the ocean. Thank you. At the ocean. So it is not always the nearest water point, but sometimes they go further and reach out to the ocean. These people that lived in the castles were seafarers. So it is not haphazard that these entrances or exits to castle tunnels were the entrance was at the sea or the beach. We look forward to sharing much more information regarding tunnels and caverns and caves. Your planet has changed. The environment, the habitat. Soma is unsure if that word is correct or not, but the environment has changed. Egypt has changed. Egypt was once lush and green. We've said to her before that the Nile was changed several times deliberately, sometimes with very nefarious reasons, often to hide things and to shift focus, to shift knowledge, to hide knowledge, to hide monuments, to hide buildings, to hide structures is a better word. Structures, thank you, is a much more accurate description. There are vast tunnels beneath Egypt. In fact, everywhere. Florida, Miami, West Cork, Mayo, Galway, Edinburgh, Dublin. the Queen's Palace in Hyde Park, the area in front of this palace, we've said this before, this park area in front of the palace. When Soma looks at this from above, we show her tunnels beneath this Hyde Park, Hyde Park. We show her, we rip back the grass and we show her beneath, and we show her how these tunnels are used for. She does not want to say the words. Children, trafficking. These families are not human. We know you have many questions, especially about the tunnels and the caves and the caverns and all of the areas beneath the earth, the soil. There is so much of your history and many different subjects, science, health, medicine, consciousness itself. There's so much information that has been deliberately when you look at the false narrative of over here, you miss the truth of what's over here. It is a distraction. There has been much distraction on your planet. We look forward to it is ironic that the negative agenda have not comprehended or really understood what is happening on your planet. They have blinkers over their eyes. They do not want to release control. They do not want to surrender. They do not want to surrender. So they are unwilling to accept. This is very important what we are saying. They are unwilling to accept, unwilling to surrender the fact that if they do take out one person in the spiritual field, there will be 10 to replace them. And should they take out those 10, there will be 100 to replace them. And should they take out those 100, there will be 1,000. And then 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40, 50, 60. They have not yet comprehended or accepted that they have lost and that love wins. We have won this battle. We have won not just this last battle, but we have won this spiritual war. Step into love. Step into light. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. we will end there for today, and we look forward to continuing our replies and answers and transmissions and downloads to your questions. This is Soma's mission. At her very core is to give our messages. This is not something she began yesterday. This is something she began as a child with a whole lot of training as a child. So many of you have come in with very specific missions, and you are all equally as important as each other. You are the disclosure movement. There is no government that is going to give you information in its fullest entirety. The governments are the reptilians. They are the negative alien beings. There are very few exceptions. We've spoken about Mr. T before, and we do work very closely with him and continue to do so. So, of course, there are exceptions, which is why he is in the position that he is in the first place. All of your missions are important. You are all, we mentioned this briefly the other day. You all show up with different teachings. Some may be channeling us, some may be researchers, some may be scientists like Greg Braden. Some may be conference organizers, some may be contactees, abductees, psychics, mediums, healers, shamans. But you are all equally as important as each other. There is no better than each other. So we will end there for today. Brian, would you like to?
Yeah. Yeah. Is this where summarize or ask questions from here?
Sorry?
Can I ask some questions from here?
I'm
Or
just,
summarize, or do you want to
just,
summarize?
I'm
Because I
just,
could do either.
I'm just coming out of it.
Okay. Yeah, well, they definitely answered and verified a lot of what I was asking, but maybe before we hit record about the underground tunnels and bases. And what they did is they gave a great overview of not looking at what's underneath us and just in terms of military bases, but really going back to all the ancient civilizations. And from what I'm learning is a lot of, especially the Lumerian side, because you had a lot of conflict between the civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria, where Atlantis, they were much more technological and they were literally raiding the more organic Lumerian priestesses and taking them, kidnapping them, right, and forcing them to breed and all that on the Atlantis side. And that the Lumerian ancients, they made it a point to bury deep underground and into the crystals, especially formations, a lot of the wisdom and memories specifically to be preserved and then reawakened at this time because they foresaw this age and the need for this knowledge to be brought forward. And and so from that standpoint, you've got multiple civilizations with underground caverns and crevices and cities and bases on top of bases, and then tunnel networks intermingling and all that, which is a much broader, richer conceptualization of what lays underneath our feet than what we're taught by, say, National Geographic. There's just a solid metal core that's spinning, and then just layers of hot rock and mud and oil.
Very well said, Brian. I think we're just going to wrap it up for this evening. And
may I say one thing, Soma?
Yeah.
In the future, for the next one, I'd love if our friends could maybe go into the interplay of the reptilians, which I know we speak a lot to, and then the Anunnaki, because I'm still always trying to wrap my head around, who's doing what with the bloodline families, and how much of that, I don't know if it even matters, but how much is a reptilian versus an Anunnaki influence? Because I understand that there is a sort of pecking order, and then they have their own traditions and magics and things like that.
I always and it's wrong of me, but I always just put them in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
But there are, I probably need to ask the Pleiadians about that. So yeah. What else? There's so for the audience listening in the future, and also now for you guys, I'm going to be in Florida from the 9th of July until the 25th of July. I won't be doing any groups in between that time. Brian, what are you doing?
For the Full Disclosure Now conference,
yes.
I'm doing the line, trying to get it to green screen the words there.
And
fulldisclosurelive.com. www.fulldisclosure.live. Sorry, that is the correct URL.
And I just wanted to mention again that you will be live streaming it. So if people are not able to make it to Florida, Brian is going to be live streaming it. So I think that's just amazing.
So be quite accessible.
Yes. Yeah, very accessible for people that are in other countries. Yes, so I shall see you guys all very soon. And if you have any questions for the Pleiadians, please do email me. I'm not really going to be that reachable.
Okay.
Between the 8th of July and the 26th of July. So, but if it's important, then please do reach out. And of course, I'll still be doing the odd reading while I'm over there. And if you need to contact me, you can go to my website and you can WhatsApp me if you have to reach me. And I shall see you guys all very soon.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Safe travels, sweetheart.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Lots of love to everyone.
Light and love.
Yes.
Bye.